How are you?
How are you doing, Mr. Deion Taylor?
Man, I'm doing great, man. Now that I'm on here with you.
You know what? I agree with you. I was
Yes,
lucky to be with you. That's it. It's such a pleasure. I've heard
yes.
so much about you. So much about you.
Same here, man. I've been watching and I've done my research and I'm a student, man. I'm ready for some acting lessons. I'm ready to go.
Listen, I'm a student. The idea that a teacher knows everything has a lot to learn. I'm a student of life, and I want to
Man,
learn about your life because it fascinates me. Because the more I know about you, the more I know about myself. That's why
wow.
we should know about other people. See,
Okay.
that's how you because you really can figure yourself out only by knowing someone else.
Yes, that's true.
Only know, oh, look what's happening. But there's certain information, there's certain things you've experienced that I can learn from.
That's right.
And
That's right.
if you love people, you'll understand more about them. And I want to say, first of all, that I'm very impressed with you because you are an actor. You were an actor, aren't you? You were an actor, performer. Well, I mean, decided to become your own producer and your own director. And I love the saying is when Hollywood said no, you started saying yes.
That's
And
right.
now, well, what I say is a little different. Same thing. We hear no, but if you put a W behind no, what do we get? What word do we have now? If we put a W behind N-O.
One.
Now, now,
Now and one. But if you
no.
turn it around, you get one. We gonna
That's right.
win, baby. We gonna win.
That's right. That's right. That's right. Wow. No, because if you take a no and you put a W at the end of that word, you have now. And
That's
what
right.
you heard is when you heard no, you heard now. Tell me a little bit about how did you get into this industry and what made you think you could do it?
Man, well, you know what? I come by way of Chicago, and like so many people that are probably watching us today or struggling to get into the industry, I was playing basketball, man, single parent, very hard upbringing, a lot of violence in my background from the people that I was around, and eventually basketball was a way that took me out of what I'm gonna say the hood, right?
Right.
And eventually got a full ride scholarship to San Diego State. From there, man, I never really looked back. I never had an idea of being in film or being around film. I mean, no one in my family knew anything about film. But what I do know is that when I was younger in high school, I was always the kid getting kicked out because I would, speak about, I'm the guy in the back doing all the movies, right? So I'm doing Predator, I'm doing Platoon, I'm doing Eddie Murphy. I'm the one that know all the movies. And, obviously film has always been escapism for so many that look like me. You know what I mean? When you kind of come from impoverished neighborhoods and, you're in these worlds and you don't have a lot, what you do have is film, entertainment. So I remember, being able to go to the movies was like a giant deal for me and my friends, man. Just being able to go see something, and you carry that with you, and you make those deposits here, and later on, you kind of use film a lot of times to kind of navigate your life at times. And anyways, I was playing ball overseas. I was in East Germany. I didn't speak the language at the time. My girlfriend was sending me she was sending me a bunch of DVD. This is before Netflix. This is before before all these phones and all this stuff. So she was sending me DVDs, and I started watching like the making of the DVDs, and I became fascinated, man, with just like how movies were made. And I remember like, damn, I got a really good idea for a horror film. And I just started writing in the Me tablet. I didn't even know, what Final Draft was, what a script was, any of that. And I wrote a horror movie, and I flew back to the States. And like so many people, man, I was like, all right, well, I'm gonna go make this movie. And I flew to LA, and that was a 7 year journey, man. I became fascinated with film. I just really, really wanted to be a part of it. I was told no every door I went to, everybody I was lied to. You meet the most corrupt people in the world. You know what I mean? It was just the worst experience ever just walking around. But little did I know, God was actually setting me up for the next stage of my life. And I had to go through those dark times. I had to go through those crazy moments. I had to have all this stuff happen to me in order for me to realize what it was I was going to do. So 7 years into this thing with this script and trying, and I done ran out of money. Everything is going bad. a gentleman came up to me who was a producer and was like, hey, I just want to tell you, man, as a Black filmmaker, I don't think anyone's going to make that movie for you. And I'm like, well, what do you mean they're not going to make the movie for me? He was like, you've been doing this for a long time and you are really hustling. You're trying hard. He was like, I'm going to give you some advice. He was like, do you know what a producer does? And I'm like, yeah, man, like, I don't know that much about film, but I know what a producer does. He was like, what does it do? And I said, well, I gave him a technical answer like, oh, the producer basically does the day-to-day. They're going to run around. They're going to help me with the budget. He's like, no, that's not it. He said a producer produces the money, produces the film, right? I'm like, damn. And so he was like, the only way you're going to get that movie made is by going to make it yourself. And I was like, wow. And that put me on a completely different trajectory that I had ever been on. For the first time in my life, I was like, wow, I could actually control my own destiny. And unlike knocking on the door or asking someone to give me something, I was like, damn, I can go do this. And a year later, man, I was out on a completely different mission, raising my own money, doing my own thing. And, you know, obviously it's been a 15-year journey, 100% independent. And now we look up today and, you know, 2019 was an amazing year for us. You know, independently making movies like The Intruder, which opened #2 in the world. You know, Black and Blue, which opened #2 in the world. Like just being able to do those types of movies on that level, you know, completely independent of any studio, and then partnering with studios for those films to actually go out and make it. You know what I mean? And that was just a beautiful thing, man. But that experience of going through all the things we had to go through, you know, was the only way that I was able to get here. You know, in 2016, with 2015, I had made a film called Supremacy, which is this movie right here behind me, which is with Mahershala Ali, Danny Glover, Derek Luke. I shot this film for $2 million on 16mm film. And I was like out, and we were really, really fighting like to get this film, you know, into the awards category. I was trying to find distribution, didn't understand how that worked. And we ran up to Sundance, and it was basically two movies. It was this film and a movie called Fruitvale. Well, obviously we know Fruitvale went forward. We ended up like not being able to find a placement. The movie ended up going on the film circuit and basically won a bunch of awards. Won a African Academy Award. I mean, everything it went to, it won. But I was disgusted because I had worked so hard on this movie. And I remember being like, okay, I quit. I had made 2 horror movies, couldn't really find distribution, made Supremacy. I'm like, yo, this movie is brilliant. I need everybody to see it. And nothing was working, and I quit. And I'm telling you this story because it's a beautiful story, and it's also a story of how something could happen for you that you never thought would happen, and it completely changes your life, right? So here I am, this like award-winning film, all these great actors. Everybody's like, yo, you know, it's incredible. Just Deon, don't quit. I'm like, I quit. So at the time, being from the Midwest, Mike Epps is a really good friend of mine. So Mike Epps calls me one day, who's a big comedian. He's like, yo, Deon, come down and I'll come to my comedy show. So I go to his comedy show. And after the show, he says, hey, man, I want to do one of them horror movies. And I look at him and I'm like laughing because I'm like, yo, no one in the world would go see you in a horror movie. I mean, he's like the funniest guy we have. You know what I mean? So I went home, thought about it, and I was like, I'm not doing no more films. I won't do no horror, nothing. At the time, this weekend, a movie came out called The Purge, okay? And I remember being the first in line to go see The Purge because I couldn't wait. I just loved the high concept of it. I thought it was going to be great, and it was great. Go see the movie, come out, and I said, oh, I got it. I go and turn and write what I'm going to call like a very small Black Purge movie, which ends up being a film called Meet the Blacks, okay? I shoot this movie just to have fun. We shoot it for like $400,000. We shoot it in 12 days. It's like everyone's coming in, Mike Tyson, Mike Epps. I mean, everybody you could think of, Charlie Murphy. I'm just calling people like, yo, can you come down here? We finish it. Now, I don't know this at the time, but this would eventually be the movie that changes my life forever, okay? So I make this film. We go to Hollywood. We finish it. We fly out to Hollywood. We're like trying to sell the movie. We're like talking to people. Everyone's like laughing at the film, but no one's buying. And I'm like, well, so finally we get an offer. And the offer's like, you know, it's a legitimate offer, but I'm like, I have been screwed now 4 times. I've made 4 films, and each movie I'm watching on television and I'm not getting $1 for it. So I'm like, I'm not doing that anymore, right? So this was the biggest moment of my life. We take that film, I look at Roxanne, who's my partner at the time, and I said, hey, I got a strange idea. Maybe we should just take this movie out to the theaters by ourselves. We can't do no worse than what these people are doing for us and how they're doing it. So we cut all of the trailers for Meet the Blacks. We do an incredible Instagram campaign. At the time, Instagram was 15 seconds. We cut trailers for everyone that's in the movie. Mike Epps, Mike Tyson, I mean, the whole Charlie Murphy, all the way down. We call theaters. We make our own posters. We made that poster right there. We made our own posters. I do all my own marketing. We take Mike Epps and we try to get as many interviews as we can. This movie, 100% independently, opens up number 4 in the world. On 800 screens, it grosses $5.3 million opening weekend. And that changed my life. So what that did was, although it wasn't a representation of the movies that I wanted to make, it was a very fun film. It was something that I did because I'm like, yo, I just want to have some fun and get away from all the hardcore drama and all those things. But what that movie ends up doing is, right after that film, I go off independently. I make a film called Traffic. I make a film called The Intruder. And it allowed us to now leverage our films with studios to where we actually own them and we partner with studios versus being work for hire. And quietly as kept, 2019, The Intruder opened against Avengers Endgame to be number 2 in the world. That's a $3 million movie that opens to $41 million. So that's been the trajectory for us. And we've, you know, ever since then have just been kind of like, all right, let's just keep doing our thing and make sure while we're doing our thing, we're actually speaking to the culture and we're also representing people that have dreams, because it is so many dream stoppers out here. It is so many people that want to see you fail. It is so many people that don't believe. So what I've always tried to do is encourage people to completely believe in yourself. No matter what the no's are, no matter who slams the door on you, no matter what world you come from, just understand it will be hard, it will be tough, but there is nothing you cannot do. There is nothing you cannot do when you put your mind to it and you go as hard as you can, and also be prepared to have a metaphysical death. And a lot of people don't really understand that. That means you have to die when you're fighting for something that you truly believe in, and understand that God will resurrect you and bring you back out of it. But you have to experience these moments. You got to have the heartache. You got to have the pain. You got to cry. You got to have a car with no gas. You got to have the shoes and the holes in the bottom. You got to go through all of that in order for you to actually find the other side of this thing. And once you do that, no matter if you fail at making a movie or your movie's not as good as the next person because they had a bunch of money, don't none of that matter anymore, because you've been through it. You've walked through the hardest times of your life. So everything else is about just growing and getting better.
Your story is so powerful and so inspiring, but a lot of different things come together. One of my secrets is always start before you're ready. You did that, yes. Right? Also, there is another line which I love. It's called "Too Stupid to Know." And when you're too stupid to know, you didn't know you couldn't fail, so you just go.
That's right.
And I'm probably an example of that. I didn't know I couldn't, so you just keep going. And so you have to be kind of stupid. There's also a kind of thing that things didn't happen to you; they happened for you, because they help you become the person that you become. Because the person you are today and how you're respected today would not have happened without the other things happening. Because you have to believe in one thing, which I think sums up the whole thing, is you have to have faith.
That's it.
That's the thing. And people don't have enough faith that it's going to work out, because the brain goes, if it isn't happening, it's not happening. If you don't see it, and you had an inner faith against all odds, no money, this and that, and only people of faith. The kingdom of heaven belongs to those who have faith. And you have to have this feeling that you will get there. Where did that faith come from?
Well, I mean, I think it's instilled in everyone that's on this line right now. You know, I think we have to tap into it. I often believe that when you come from humble beginnings, when you come from worlds where everything is not right, you know, we live in a PTSD world. You know, when you're black and brown and you're the minority, or you come from, you know, if you're Jewish, like it doesn't, like when you come from these impoverished neighborhoods, you don't know anything but faith.
Right.
You don't know anything but I have to make it. You know what I mean? Your mom gave you that. Your dad gave you that. You know, the people on the streets gave you that. Where you like, damn, man, I know it's got to be something better than this. So it's bigger than acting. It's bigger than film. It's, you know, it's bigger than, it's bigger. It's life. It's like, what drives you? What makes you go? And then when you actually find that thing, if it is directing like it was for me, or writing like it was for me, then you pour all of that in there. There was no, what the studio people never realized for me was, number one, I came at peace, but number two, there was nothing that they could tell me to make me stop. I had been through it all. Do you know what I mean? Like I understood. They didn't realize that I got there and I didn't have enough gas to even be there in the first place. You know what I mean? They didn't realize that I was, you know, sleeping on somebody's floor when I wrote this. So for me to walk in the office, I had already won. For me to had already had the ability to get to you, and you were a studio head, I had already won. So now it was just kind of like, damn, okay, how do I figure out what's next? And I think that faith, I think that drive inside of you is what you have to have. You have to grow that. I feel sorry now for people that have never been through anything or had any experiences in life, because I've realized now as I'm getting older, like, damn, it's the experiences that you have in life that actually grow you to be the person that you are today. You know what I mean? You gotta get whacked on the back of your head and be like, damn, don't go in that door no more. You know what I mean? Like you have to have that, man. Because, yeah.
Deon, one thing that you were talking about, I use a different words, is that when people always ask me, how do you succeed? I said, you will always succeed if you know why you're doing it. If your why is bigger than all your doubts and all your fears and where you've come from and your neighborhood and everybody told you no, if you have a strong why, nothing stops you. And that's the thing. And there was a line that I heard from one of the famous writer named Neil Simon. And Neil Simon once said, if anything can stop you, it's not for you.
That's right.
And that's true.
That's right.
And so the idea is that if you believe in something so powerfully, nothing will stop you. And the other thing that you said, which is so beautiful, is that you're a winner now. You've always been a winner.
That's right.
The idea is that stars are not born. Stars exist now. When I coach people, because I coach people here around the world, is that I uncover what's there. If you're not a star, if I uncover you're not a star, you're not a star. And I believe that people need to be uncovered. Once you uncover yourself, your true self, right? Because you didn't really have a choice but to fail. You couldn't take failure. Well, where are you going to go? What are you going to do? You're at the bottom. One of the things about you, by the way, is very similar to a lot of immigrants that I get. I get a lot of people who come here from nothing. And so I'm an immigrant. And so there's only one way up. We couldn't get any further down.
That's it.
And so you were hungry, as Les Brown says. You got to be hungry. And you got hungry. And I think that one thing that you're talking about is a hunger and a desire to put something out there. But you also ask for help. That's the other big thing that I would say that you did as well, right? Wasn't that true? That you had a different thing?
Yeah. So I mean, eventually, what ultimately what I found is ultimately what happens is there's no bigger advocate for you as a fighter and you having faith than the universe, right?
Right.
And you could sum that up as the universe. You could sum that up as God. But once your intention, and I'll share this word with a lot of people all the time. People don't understand the power of intention. Intention is one of the most powerful words that you could have and one of the most incredible traits you could have. And what that means is if your intention is wrong, if you're doing something to deceive someone, if you're doing something to out hustle someone, if you're doing something to get ahead the wrong way, if your intention is off, everything about that will go bad. If you make a mistake, but your intention was fantastic, or your intention was only to do something great, or your intention was only to try to move forward, then the universe will reward you. So a lot of times what I believe is what you put out, you get back, right? And that's the yin and the yang of it. But at the end of the day, what's happening is you get surrounded. God puts people around you when he needs to put them around you that will actually lift you up, pull you in the darkest times, give you what you need when you feel like, damn, ain't nobody else gonna give it to me. And I was able to do that. And that is the asking for help. So the reality is 5 years into this thing, I'm trying my hardest. I'm doing everything. I've already built my own way. I'm already making my own films. Can't get distribution. Don't nobody in the world know who the hell I am, but I'm pounding. And I'm like, damn, man, this is, and I end up meeting all these different people, like, obviously trying to raise money. And this one guy, I end up meeting through someone. Is like, yo, I'm going to drive up and see you on a Tuesday. Now, he doesn't know that I need him to come see me real time because I'm in the middle of a movie. And we're trying to desperately find some money because if I don't get the money, we got to shut the movie down. Oh, by the way, we've never had to shut a movie down. And this guy comes up. He can't make it on Tuesday. He's like, look, some things changed. I'm going to be able to come up a day early. I'm coming on Monday. This guy comes down. I meet him, end up talking to him. He says, hey, what is your 5-year plan? And at the time I'm working with another guy, he's like, well, my 5-year plan is to do this. And my 5-year plan was, I said, yo, one day, honestly, man, I said, I would love to have like a boutique film company where I could do all the different movies that I like to do. So he said, explain that to me. And I said, well, being a Black filmmaker, we are often put into a box. And that box means they either want me to be what Spike is, what John Singleton is, and at the time, what Tyler Perry is. And I said, but I love horror. I love dramas. I love comedies. I said, I would love to do everything. And I said, Steven Spielberg made The Color Purple and Jaws. I said, so for me, I said, I should be able to do anything I want to do. And I didn't realize that person was this gentleman named Robert Smith. Robert Smith ends up becoming the richest Black man in the world. Most recently gave all the money to Morehouse, all those kids. He ends up being my partner for the last 10 years on the film side of things. He grows to become this giant gazillionaire. But God placed him there at the right time. God put him there. I wasn't seeking money like that. I was just trying to finish my film and I had already did the work. You know what I mean? So at times you are placed, people drop into your life when they're supposed to be there, but you can't, you manifest that through your work. You manifest that through what you're doing. You manifest that through your intention. Do you know what I mean?
I absolutely. But one of the things that you're talking about is that to be successful, I would say, some people say, how do you get from here to there? And I say, there's only one way. Besides the work and the hard thing, you have to be open for miracles. Yep. You got to be in the miracle business.
That's right. You
got to be ready for miracles
to
come. And you have to be expecting miracles. Because the only way I've gotten here is miracles, and I can see that your entire story is based on miracles. But you were also open. Plus, there's a miracle right now. Your story, for anybody that's listening right now, it's a miracle. There's some people say, hey, can you put me in the movie? Can you do that, Dion? And I'm saying, okay, to all these lovely people, hey, how about making your own movie, being your own miracle, overcome your own problems? And that's what you've done. You were open for the miracles because you could have not listened to him. No. You could have not realized that miracles are coming. But how about being open? That's and right. Asking for help and expecting a miracle, because I consider your talk today to be the miracle I've been looking for. Because some people don't get when the miracle's happening. This should be a life-changing moment, because if you want it to be a life-changing moment, it can be. And it doesn't matter who's here. So I feel that you and I have been placed together to create something even more powerful. I don't consider this meeting to be just Dion Taylor telling me his story, because your story seems to be my story, and your story is everyone's story. because
That's
they
right.
all come like that. Because we're not Steven Spielberg's kid who's going to get a movie. Those are different types of people.
That's right.
And there's nothing wrong with Steven Spielberg as a beautiful human being. We're talking about the fact that it's always starts like that.
Yeah.
Because life is always 3 steps. First, it seems impossible,
Yeah.
improbable,
That's right.
and then inevitable.
That's right.
And if you want to know about life, I like your movies very much, but there's a movie that I think summarizes the whole world. It's a movie called Mission Impossible. Have you seen Mission Impossible?
Yeah.
And I'm very upset with that movie because why is it impossible? They always seem to get the bad guy at the end. They always seem to find it. So it's not impossible.
No, it's not.
Right. I said, wait a minute. This is not true. Because it always seems impossible, but they always seem to get the guy at the end.
Yep.
They always catch him.
That's true.
That's kind of like life. It always seems impossible.
Yep.
And that's what you came from. If we went looking backwards from, you came from the sort of the bad side of the neighborhood, that you are a filmmaker, and that shows that every child has the possibility, if they believe in themselves, not in school grades, not in diplomas, but believing in oneself.
That's
that
right.
I talk about, that we were all born to be a masterpiece because we're part of the master. And that's the secret. And that's what you became. That's you. That's
man,
you.
I appreciate that, man. It's great, man. I love it, man. I love the energy. I need it all. Put some more on me.
Yeah, baby. Listen, we're going to get together soon, 6 feet apart, but we're getting together.
Yeah, we're going to get through this.
I feel that. So what piece of advice would you give a new person that's starting? What are 3 things that you would tell a person that arrives to LA to do? What are 3 things you would tell them to do?
Man, that's tough. Arriving in LA.
Yeah, arriving to LA. No, but I mean, we have that you want them to find a place. There's a thing called finding the artistic community, finding your people. Don't just come, because when you're by yourself, you're going to lose. I talk about that. I say, come with an artistic family, study, get into the business, learn where other people, and find people like you who are also obsessed, you know, and don't be around negative people. What piece of advice would you give for someone who wants to start and be a Deon Taylor, the next Deon Taylor? By the way, is it dark where you are? Did your lights get lower? Or is it
maybe you're just looking into my eyes.
Okay, maybe. No, maybe. I've already fallen in love with you, so I don't know how that works.
I think I would say don't forget what your morals and your values are. Never abandon those. That would be the first thing. Just making sure you understand who you are, and obviously not letting anyone change you or change your values. Because once you begin to change your morals and your values, you lose who you are. Mm-hmm. And if you lose who you are, you're not an artist anymore. That would be the first thing. The second thing would be, which is what I just said a moment ago, which is you got to let go, and it's going to hurt. You're going to get to LA or wherever you are, New York, you're going to try for that music. You're going to try for that film. You're going to try to write that script. Like, you're going to lose. Be prepared to fall down a bunch of times. Be prepared to be lied to a bunch of times. But in all of this, understand that this is a lesson. This is not for you. This is school. This is practice. This is you working out for the big game.
Oh, absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
Don't become confrontational. Don't become mean. Don't forget what it means to be human when you go through these things, right? That would be my second thing. And my third thing would be just be at peace, understanding that you're trying to do something that many cannot do. So that means that you have to have an initiative, and you have to have a fight in you, and you have to understand that you might lose the war, but you still are in the battle. And continue to press through. Your job is to get. It's not a sprint. It's not a sprint. Like Nipsey was saying, it's a marathon.
Yes.
People gonna run in front of you. People gonna lap you. People gonna be behind you. The idea is like, yo, where they gonna be at in 3 days while you still running your pace? And that's the realest advice I can give you, is understand it's a marathon. When you start, if you've ever ran in any type of race, play any type of sport, people bust out. They bust out the gate. You know what I mean? They run it as fast as they can. Somebody's sprinting, somebody's jogging. Like, just run your pace. It's about you and your time.
What's the best piece of advice anybody ever gave you? What makes who told you something that you're still thinking about today?
Oh man, probably my mom, man. You know,
What did she tell you? I want to hear what your mom said.
A bunch of stuff. Some of the shit I can't. Some of the stuff I can't repeat.
Okay, I understand. Well, try to say some of the things you can.
I mean, she's always just told me, don't nobody care. Don't nobody give a shit about what, you know, how you feel, what you think. Like, you got to actually get out there and go do the work. You know what I mean? Like, we've been raised that way. You know what I mean? Like, everybody got a sob story. Everybody got something that they standing on that hurt them. Everybody got a mom or dad missing, or damn man, I couldn't pay the rent. Everybody got a story, but
right.
Mom's always told us, like, get your ass out there and get to work. Don't nobody care. And she was absolutely right. You know, when we put out The Intruder, my $3 million poster was right next to Marvel's poster. Don't nobody care that I had $3 million and I shot that movie in 18 days. And I had to find Dennis Quaid's phone number and text him and didn't nobody care about none of that. Only thing they cared about was the results that was up there, man. And that's the reality. And, you know, as you kind of tread through this life, as you fight through this world, man, you know, I remember being like, oh man, such ain't gonna work with you because, you know, you ain't got no credits, you ain't got, you know, what type of director are you? You know, we all have dreams and aspirations to be able to work with, you know, people like Leonardo DiCaprio and, you know, the Jamie Foxxes of the world. Like, that's where you want to go. And, you know, obviously this year was a big year for me because me having those dreams, me having those intentions allowed me to have my next film, which comes out, you know, Halloween this year everywhere.
Right. Tell me, who's in it? Who's in your movie? I heard some amazing people.
Yeah, with two-time Academy Award winner Hilary Swank. You know what I mean? Like, you know, I get Hilary Swank, I get Michael Ealy. You know, I make my own Fatal Attraction. But, you know, the reality is you like, damn, one day I'm going to get to, you know, obviously Naomi Harris was nominated for an Oscar who did Black and Blue. But to be able to up the game, man, and go to someone who has won 2 Oscars to star in your film, that just really lets you know, God is in control, man. And there's nobody, it didn't matter how many people told me no. I remember like lesser actors like, well, I don't know. Let me really look at what your body of work is. I'm like, what you talking about? I'm doing some dope shit over here, man. What you mean my body of work? You know what I mean? Did you see your last film? I'm like, you know what I mean? So you got to get past that stuff, man, and make sure people know, like, no, man, I got the hot shit. That's part of that internal thinking. Like, I got that. Like, when I talk to actors, I'm like, yo, I know what's hot. I live out here. You know what I mean? Like, I know what people, I go to the movies. You know what I mean? So it was a blessing when you get people like that to be like, man, like a Hilary Swank, who says, wow, I believe that, man. Damn, Dion, I love it. Like, let's go do it. Let me take a chance. You know what I mean? And you make something brilliant with her. So I just think, man, intention.
I just want to support your ideas. We had a director who came to my masterclass, Peter Farrelly. He won the Academy Award for Green Book. Okay.
That's right. Yep.
All right. He wrote a movie called Dumb and Dumber.
That's right.
Nobody wanted to do it.
Yeah.
Nobody, he couldn't get commercial actors to do it. Even commercial actors were turning him down because agent says, I'm not going to give you a Dumb and Dumber. What is this? So then he finally got Jim Carrey on board and he's about to shoot, right? And they say, do you have shot list? And I go, shot list? What's that? He had never shot a movie before. And that's what I talk about. Always start before you're ready and never let money stop you. And there's a certain way of living, and success is not an accident. It's not just like, boom, there it is. You work hard, you make things happen. And so sometimes people want to, you know, achieve things without working hard. Yes. But you also not just have to work hard, you have to work smart and find a mentor. That's what you found. Someone to help you. You couldn't have done this without yourself. So I want to, what's coming up for you now? I heard that you're deciding that there was some sort of crisis. I heard Corona crisis, and you decided to make your own movie. Is this true?
No, well, I mean, what's coming up for us right now is my movie Fatale, starring Hilary Swank, Michael Ealy, Mike Coulter, and Tyron Turner. That comes out Halloween everywhere. That's through Lionsgate. The amazing Dante Spinotti shot that film, who shot Heat, The Insider, Last of the Mohicans. It's just a brilliant film, and if you love Fatal Attraction, then you got to go see this, man. It's a homage to that. And then I just been kind of sitting here, man, and obviously because we do our own movies and we make our own thing, as this has been kind of getting progressively longer, I'm like, well, shit, I guess I'd go shoot something. Like I got a great idea. I know how to shoot a film where I could basically distance my actors. And so I just started writing about 3 weeks ago, and I came up with a really, really dope high concept movie that takes place in the lodge during this time. And scrap my money together, man. I'm gonna go shoot it in a week. Like I see y'all when it's over. Like
What?
You can't let the moment define you. You have to define the moment.
This town is only for visionaries.
That's
If you're
right.
a visionary, that means you see what could be. You're not what you are right now.
That's
And
right.
that's where we are right now. Deon Taylor, I'm
Thank
in love with your passion. I'm in love with your story. I'm supporting you. We're going to be talking more. Thank you for sharing this.
Man, thank you so much. Thank you, man. I really appreciate you, B. And anything you need from me, brother, I'm here. And look, everybody on live right now, man, that tuned in with us, we appreciate you guys, man. I'm trying to read as much stuff as I can. I just want to tell everybody, man, yo, hold your head up. Go as hard as you can. And please understand, man, as quick as this virus came, they're going to find something to make it go away. When this thing go away, the idea is, I say this on my page all the time, did you use this time to prepare yourself to be great on the other side of this? Did you use this time? Did you go fight? Did you write? Did you direct? Did you pull together all the business ideas you had? Did you really go to work? Because this was the only time ever that we've had the world stop where you could actually get it together. You know what I mean? So we should have been using this time, and you should be using this time right now. Even if you didn't, dive in there right now, man, and
Listen,
get
I want to
that
say one
blank piece
thing.
of paper.
I want to say one thing. Right now is not the time to sit around, because when it takes off, that's why I currently have several master classes. I'm working with business people because they have to be on top of their game. Don't sit around because the person next to you is not sitting around.
That's right.
And also said one more thing. Greatness is a choice you make. It is not your destiny. It's something you want. Like Michael Jordan, he wanted to be like that. He wanted to be the best. It's something inside you. And as my teacher once told me, he says, in life, you should either write a book that everybody wants to read, or make a life so powerfully that somebody wants to write a book about you.
Man,
So
you said it, man. Oh, yo, big shout out to my brother on here, Doug. I see you on here, man. During this coronavirus time, this young man started his own apparel line called Stoner Club. Yo, just want to say shout out to you, man. I love it, man. The merchandise is everywhere, brother. I appreciate you sending me the stuff, and I seen you checking in on here, man. Love you, brother. All right, thank you so much, B.
I will
Thank
see you.
Man.
Thank you very much, Mr. Deon Taylor. Mr. Deon Taylor, thank you for what your passion, your feelings, and inspiration. Today you made a difference.
Thank you so
very
much.
much for sharing it. Thank you.